against the Mysterious Monkeys. For more, let's go over to Shox in the post-game lobby.
Thank you so much, Medic, and indeed, welcome to the post-game lobby. We're going to take a look back on an action-filled day here in the EU LCS Summer Split, starting with the recap of the Unicorns of Love versus Mysterious Monkeys, and specifically Game 2 is what I want to talk about, because that turned into quite the slugfest, and I think we saw a lot of good things from the Mysterious Monkeys then, especially kind of the counterweight they put on the map against the Unicorns of Love's power.
Yeah, that was really spicy back and forth. Gotta compliment Jisoo once again. We
Once again, we
kind of called him out earlier, but now I think Jarvan was a good pickup into the immobile mid laner of the Syndra, being such a big threat. And I like that they tried to get Cosque's snowball rolling, almost were able to get it, but then in the end, not quite enough.
You could see how dejected Jisoo was in that game, because he actually felt like he had the advantage, you would imagine. He was kind of crushing Chachi in the side lane at times. Got a little bit of help. And Cosque was doing well from the mid lane as well. He really put the pressure back onto Exile. But there were a couple of key moments, key turning fights, where the exhaust comes out onto Cosque and he can't quite get the kill on Exile when it really counts. And then Samax cleans up the fight. But again, we saw the Unicorns team fighting be the major strength for this squad, taking them through tricky situations against the Monkeys.
Yeah, tricky situations. A lot of that is to credit the Mysterious Monkeys for, but on the side of the Unicorns of Love, that was kind of the sloppiest we've seen from them so far, Henning.
Yeah, not sure what the game plan here was. I have to... I was praising Exile before the first week. I think he played really well. This time going up against Cosque in what should be a matchup where he should have the pressure. Syndra versus the Katarina. Still falls behind in the laning phase. Does some unexpected mistakes. Stays too far up in the lane without flash against the Jarvan and gets punished for it.
The Unicorns, you can always say, expect the unexpected. Henning, you'll learn that in due time with the Unicorns, I'm sure. But
yeah, we definitely haven't repeated it enough throughout the years.
I like what you're talking about, some of the mistakes you saw out of Exile, because Cosque specifically, as we were talking earlier, felt that he could take it to Exile. And Cosque was a guy that I've kind of had a bit of criticism for, even in Challenger, when faced with the toughest opponents, he's never really stepped up. But this game, I think, is one of the first examples where I'm actually saying, okay, Cosque, he's playing against one of the top mid laners in Europe, and he's actually holding his own.
Also, to that, I also remember back in when they tried to qualify for LCS, when they were playing in the Challenger Series playoffs, where he did pull out the Katarina and had to be the solo carry, and they put all the marbles in that basket, and he did come through. And I think that is exactly why we saw the Mysterious Monkeys being so dejected as well, because now it was within reach. They came back from a heartbreaking, horrible loss in Game 1. They shook it off and they came back onto the stage and really fought for it and were so close. So let's just hope that they can take some of that energy, go into a good VOD review for next week, and hopefully come refreshed to the ULCS with that, Henning.
Yeah, you can see how devastated they were, and I really understand them. Losing in this way is even tougher than just getting stomped in 20 minutes. You know, sure, there's nothing to be sad about. Really, just let's get home and work on it again. But losing in this way, when you know the margins are so small, it's always in a Katarina game. A lot of those team fights, there was like 1 or 2 auto attacks off getting the reset and then being able to turn the team fight completely. So yeah, I understand that the Mysterious Monkeys are devastated after a loss like this.
Yeah, that's the kind of game, though, that you can learn a lot from. A lot of teams will talk about they're almost preferring to lose in a closer manner, because you can go back and you can say, okay, this is how we handle the situations. Game 1, I'm not so sure there's so much to learn from against Blitzcrank and you know, running at you with Moby Boots, but certainly it was a fun series overall. It's what we expected. These two are going to go head-to-head and lots of kills.
Yeah,
in
it's
the
been
clash.
entertaining all day. The Unicorns of Love, if anything, they continue their strong form here in Week 2 when it comes to game wins, at least. Let's see what our player of the series has to say after that win.
Thank you very much, Shox. And yeah, I'm happy to announce Xerxes is the player of the series. Congratulations, man. How's that feel?
Thank you. It feels really great after last week, where Exile got the MVP.
Yeah, you thought it was stolen away from you, I think, if I remember.
Yes.
Well, this time you rightfully earned it, and it was a 2-0. But I want to talk a little bit more about some of the jungle picks you had today, because you not only played the Ivern, that's still been very popular, but you picked up the Warwick again. So what do you think the jungle meta looks like on post 7.10? Are you just kind of forging ahead your own path? Or do you think other people are going to start doing this too?
I think in the new page there are like a lot of junglers you can play right now. And I was a fan of Warwick since the last split, and I played in Korea as well. So I just like it, and it was good against Lee Sin.
It certainly seemed very effective. Another jungler that didn't get picked but actually got banned today against you guys was the newly reworked Kindred. What do you think about that champion? Is it really strong right now?
I would say it's fine, but it's not that great. Need some buffs.
Wow. Okay. So bold statement. Balanced team, get on that one. But all right, let's move over to your opponents as well, because the Mysterious Monkeys are a team that we've seen for 2 weeks in a row now. They might get completely knocked down in a game. They'll come back and they'll try their hearts out and they'll fight and fight and fight right until the end. What do you think of a team that just never says die like that?
I think it's good for them that even when in the first game they got stomped, I will say that, and it's good that they didn't tilt or they were like, oh, whatever, we don't care about the second game, and they kept fighting. So I like that.
Yeah, I would imagine you guys probably would. It probably kindles a little bit in your heart there. Okay, so last question about this whole group that you guys find yourself in, Group B. Everyone's talking about Group A with Fnatic, G2, all that stuff. But in Group B, this was what many perceive to be one of the bottom teams, taking on you guys and really taking a fight to you. How competitive do you think Group B is going to be this split?
I'm not sure if it's going to be as competitive as Group A. But I think there will be a bit of competitiveness.
All right, well, then I guess the last one for you is, you guys going to win that one in a landslide?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Everybody else in Group B, watch out. Thank you so much, Xerxes, and congratulations on Player of the Series. All right, we're going to send it back over to Shox and the boys.
I think we keep asking Xerxes last week as well, you know, are you going to win? Yeah. I mean, yeah, he thinks they're going to win, dude. But it's kind of nice that we keep asking him and that the confidence is still there, even if after kind of a game like that. And we have to give it our credit to Xerxes as well. They Elise banned, Kha'Zix banned, Zac banned, Kindred banned, Ivern banned. So he pulls out the Warwick. And I love that he spoke kind of to the jungle meta. Because Stress, you were speaking a lot about, you know, Rek'Sai. Haven't seen anything there. We did see one Kindred ban, but maybe it's too early for the meta to catch up.
Yeah, well, these are champions that, I mean, Kindred is a different play style. Yeah. It does have early game presence, but it's that carry style, which is slightly different. So I'm expecting it to take some time for Kindred to come back into the meta. Rek'Sai, I think, at the current point, doesn't quite stack up against the top tier junglers. So even though there were some changes that were made on 7.11, they're going to take time to filter through the right itemization. A lot of people are still trying things with the different Rek'Sai builds, whether it's damage, whether it's tankiness, to see where the real effectiveness lies. Because gone is the global, you have to have a little bit more impact in team fights, and that's trickier with the adjusted kits. So 7.11 changes may come through, but we're nowhere near expecting some of these junglers to go right where Zac has gone after the mid-season patch.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. With how different Kindred is, not only because she's the marksman in the jungle, but also because of the stacks. They force your team to play completely different in the early game, have to pick those pushing lanes that can go help those invades. So say like Sion and Mundo comes into the metagame in the top lane, you don't really have to adapt your team's playstyle that much because you're already used to playing with the Gragas, with the Shen. But then playing with the Kindred, that's a completely different story.
Yeah, that's true. So, Xerxes, what did you want to add anything?
No, I thought you were saying no because you didn't want Sion and Mundo back in the top lane.
Well, it's okay, but like I'd rather see kind of a Jarvan versus Fiora, this and that. Although maybe we get tired of that in a couple of weeks as well, because it seems like we're hard to please if we see too much of the same thing, even if it's exciting. But that was an exciting match overall, and I love that Pyra kind of asked about the competitive.
That's the strength of B.
The strength of Group B. And Xerxes said, well, I think Group A will be a lot more competitive. However, let's kind of look at the dynamic of that group and maybe also look at the series we saw earlier in the day in that group. Splyce was up against Vitality and had a very convincing win. So Splyce seems to be saying, hey, come on, we want a challenge for definitely 3 and maybe above.
Yeah, the Snake was definitely stronger than the B in today's series because Splyce coming through, looking very strong with even the kind of composition we were expecting, well, that they've played before in days gone by when Yamato was their coach in Game 2. The 1-3-1 setup working very well. Game 1, they fought back against the deficit that Vitality had stacked up against them. So I really liked watching Splyce today. They showed us a little bit more strength than we saw last week.
Yeah, I think Splyce are finding their style. When you get a new coach, it can take a while to find really what kind of team compositions that you want to go for. If you want the split push, if you want the safe siege, if you want to play for the late game with the team fights. And I think Splyce is in the middle of that process at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic for Splyce to get some points on the board for Vitality. The Bees worldwide are already in a precarious position, and the Vitality Bees are also not doing so well. So I just want to talk to that team a little bit. If we look at this group, obviously Vitality, it's been a while in the making now that they haven't been able to find those openings. And here we see the player of the series was Mickey X, who also completely dismantled and did really well on Thresh. But you got to have some question marks for Vitality. You know, when is it going to go better for them?
I think right now, this is going to sound really bad, but I think the player holding his weight the most frequently is Joko. Steelback is doing well. The team aren't protecting him. He gets killed in fights. Cabochard is having decent games. Nukeduck is having decent games, but Joko is the only one that is reliably showing up for me, and I need to see more out of that out of Vitality if they really want to build themselves to compete against a team like Splice.
Well, what we've also seen is that Joko was able to, for himself, get his lanes ahead and get an advantage, and then he felt like he had to kind of do too much and pull the trigger, and with that gave up a lot of deaths in the series. And to that, we have a tweet from a familiar face, rather, in the EU LCS. Amazing, he tweeted, Vitality's lineup is inherently flawed. No carry or shot calling ability whatsoever. Now, I do want to offer this up as kind of a discussion point. That is a harsh point, but it does seem to be in line with what we're identifying as the problems from Vitality. Who is the shot caller? Is there a real carry? You said it today earlier. Nukeduck isn't really that fantastic mid laner that's going to take over the game in every single game anymore. Cabochard hasn't been that for a while. The bot lane, so maybe that is kind of the issue.
Yeah, I agree with Amazing there. I think what we saw in today's games was that they lacked the decisiveness to start fight. It's not like they lacked the tools. They had Braum, Kalista, Rumble, Fizz. Just throw the Braum in there, throw the Rumble ulti on top of him. They have all the tools in the toolbox to make these fights happen. What they lacked was the decisiveness and the shot calling to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm kind of surprised that it's Joko that's stepping up in the early game, because post 15 minutes, I don't see a whole lot out of Joko that is controlling the game, and that's one of the aspects that Amazing is talking about. So when you look at that, a player that goes 2-0 up, demolishes an Ivern jungle at the beginning of the game, and then dies 5 times in a row afterwards, and just the rest of the team have nothing to build from. If your jungler that wins the game at the beginning cannot help you close that game out, there are some really big problems, and I think the shot calling aspect is such a massive part of it, and Joker's been around for long enough that we have to expect a little bit more alongside that.
Well, a lot of these players, right? And I think that's the reason why we're going quite harsh on this, is because, yes, they do have Yamato, who is a new coach in there, so he does need to get some time to kind of build up all those fundamentals, but it's not like these players don't have any of the fundamentals, and that's the reason why we've been looking at the team for a long time now and waiting for them to step up, because maybe they just end up in the 4th spot again. But it seems that the Mysterious Monkeys could be challenging for that.
And that's why perhaps we're a little more damning early on than previous splits, is because last split, Origin, there was no way Origin were jumping up above Vitality. Just legitimately wasn't going to happen. This time, Mysterious Monkeys, as you said, are a legitimate threat to put Vitality in a relegation position. And when you give me that lineup and you tell me that they could be in relegation in all seriousness at the end of the split, that is the most perplexing thing to think about for this type of team.
It is. Let's take a look at the standings and take a look at that Group B then specifically and how it's shaking out. Obviously, H2K and Unicorns of Love seem pretty untouchable. Splice is saying, hey, think about us. Here is our first series win and we're looking stronger. And then indeed, Henning, that bottom of the table and relegation, you almost have to feel like, would that be then the end-all wake-up call for Vitality? You almost want to see him have a shock to the system.
Yeah, I mean, going into this group, what I was expecting would be the yellow teams here to be bunched up in the middle. Splice and Vitality fighting for that 3rd spot, and then Mysterious Monkeys to be towards the bottom. What it looks like now is that Splice is the sole middle team, and Mysterious Monkeys and Vitality will be the ones fighting to avoid relegations.
Yeah, definitely, because even though we don't have that many series to judge of, I feel like Vitality's losses have been quite damning, and then Mysterious Monkeys just have shown some fighting spirit to us. Now, moving on, we also want to talk a little bit about the meta, and Henning, you were specifically interested in the support meta. All I can think about is Thresh, though, and Blitzcrank, maybe.
Yeah, of course, you got to mention the Steam Golem as it was played today. As we can see
Steam
here.
Golem? Is that his nickname?
I think that's his nickname. I'm not entirely sure.
Well, the Rolling
sounds
Golem
right.
gathers no rust.
Yeah,
so.
The great
exactly.
Steam Golem, yeah. But just looking at the pics on your screen there, 3 melee supports in towards the top with Thresh, Braum, and Tahm Kench. This is for both picks and bans. And I think that's a very interesting change from the spring season, where we saw a lot of Karma, Lulu, Syra, these strong laners that tried to punish the enemy. I mean, if you would have picked up a Thresh in spring into like a I don't know, a Syra Caitlyn, you would just get pushed in, lose first tower, and just get demolished early on in the game. But what I love about the changes that we've been seeing with the Doran's Shield, with the different meta team comps coming in is that we've been seeing supports like Galio, Camille, Blitzcrank today. All the possibilities in the world are open.
I don't think Fnatic want to remember the Camille, but it was fun nevertheless. So yeah, talking about it, when you lock in that Thresh, it opens up such a different world of supports. There are a couple of supports we're not seeing. Defizio mentioned the Alistair earlier. We haven't seen the Leona yet, anything like these. So it's not like the world is your oyster for everything coming through, but I think the supports that have a lot of utility when it comes to Thresh, you can set up picks. Braum, great defensively, good at disengage and also kind of counter-engaging fights. So we're going to see a lot more of this with Doran Shield in its current state, with bot lane in its current state as well. And then you look at these kill lane setups. Twitch plus X champion, whichever can lock somebody down for long enough, can really devastate a bottom lane.
Yeah, gotta mention Kalista there as well with the kill-ins. Works so well with a lot of these melee supports. Throw in a Braum, you have a fight started from nowhere. Throw in a Thresh, there's so many play possibilities you have right there.
Yeah, it's super fun to see. Thresh obviously can be so game-changing rather and so damning, and it's also in every support's arsenal kind of as a basic pick. So we'll see how that evolves everything. We also continue tomorrow. We're going to see how much trash we will see then as Maxor is going up against his former team in Misfits. Gaming versus Rocket, and the Ninjas and Pajamas are up versus V2.
Ninjas versus Samurai. We've had animals today. There's a rabbit versus a cat in the first series of the day. So
a rabbit versus a cat in a hat and a bat. No, that's a... I wish I was a little bit... Never mind. Never mind. Never mind.
Wow, you know it's getting late.
Freestyling at this point.
We only had 4 games today, but they were a bit crazy, so it sends us a bit crazy. It's good.
And let's hope that it will be just as crazy tomorrow. Well, thank you guys very much for joining me on the desk and enduring the craziness. It is time for us to log off for the night, clearly. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back tomorrow for more action in the EU LCS. Have a fantastic night. I wish I was a baller.
Could be a very interesting game with 2 different team compositions coming through. It could, and we'll find out soon enough. It's Splice taking on Vitality. Joker was involved in every first blood last week. Not gonna pick it up yet. The Raptors are coming to help. First blood, Nuke Duck. And that's the end of the game. There's no one to defend. Vitality put up a fight, but Splice knocked them out. They want to go for this. Locking in Vitality. Joko is obliterated where he stands. Because look at where Wonder is shoving a wave up, but look, Spice counter-engage. Joko again. He is just feeding Splice. The Nexus isn't the focus just yet. It's about killing everyone. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. The death sentence connects and Splice yell, "You have my sympathy." But Yamato, we have no regrets.
Unicorns and mysterious monkeys. We are here in Berlin, but it might as well be Egypt. 4,500 years later, mysterious monkeys take on unicorns as love in the Summoner's Rift Safari. Koski flashes in. Can he get the kill on X? Oh! Also would have been enough, but he just can't quite get close enough. And another hook. Llama Bear's dead. Won't be able to get away from Xerxes. Illisang has the hook, the taunt comes down, doesn't even need to use it. They've got the root down. Koski with a shockwave will delay for the time being. Here comes XL from the side. Samix spraying and praying that he can get the double. That's 2 for him. In front of my mind's eye, and I can see XL getting shredded, but he just gets clean. Minions for the win. Here's the rest of Unicorns. Yuki flashes away. Llama has to flash as well. Flash in from Samix. 2-shot headshot. That's a kill. You have to give so much credit to the mysterious monkeys, but today is not the day that the Unicorns will be failed. They'll take the Nexus towers, they'll take the Nexus, and there are no monkeys welcome in this EU zoo. The Unicorns take it 2-0.